Hey guys, I'm Evelyn.
And I'm Robert.
And this is Talking About It.
Hey everybody. So before we get started, wanted to give you some...
Guys, I'm Evelyn.
And I'm Robert.
And we're talking about it.
Yeah, so before we get started, just want to let everyone know that we're going to have a special bonus episode for the December holidays.
Yes, we are excited. We have a great idea. Hopefully you guys will like it.
Yeah. And also, right now, we just discovered it. I did something to mess up the Talking About It website.
Yes.
So hopefully it will be fixed before you hear this. But if it's not, yes, it's my fault because I'm a Luddite.
All right, so I think that's all the announcements we had for right now. What is this chapter called?
This is of herbs.
Herb?
Is it herb or herb?
It's herbs.
It's herb. That means it's a silent H.
Okay.
Of herbs and stewed rabbit. Now, what were your predictions?
Yeah, I had a few. No, my predictions were pretty tame for this episode in this chapter. So I was still very much on the no potatoes train. And we'll see if I'm right about that or not. I thought if it would pop up, it would be this chapter, but it wouldn't actually pop up. I thought they would talk about potatoes, but the potatoes wouldn't actually be a line. I also thought that they would be surprised to find anything edible in this land. And then I thought Gollum would get a nice tasty fish like he wants.
Okay.
So we'll see how I did.
Yeah, we'll see how you did. Well, also, the first part of this is a nice interlude for the reader. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it's not even an information dump. It's nothing that you have to think hard about or even remember what's going on.
It was a nice, pleasant read.
Yes, it's just Sam or Schmeagol, whichever one.
Yeah.
Anything like that for most of the chapter.
Yeah, they're really just... they're just kind of going through the terrain. Gollum's drinking nothing but water. He's not eating anything. I really like how him and his wordsmithery, as I like to call it, is really fun because just like when he describes things, it's like you really can picture it in your mind. And the way that they're creeping through the terrain and like kind of blending into the darkness and trying to stay off the road and being wary of it as the red eye continues to stare at them. And I really liked it. Like, I liked how creepy that was. And then as they're moving along, the further they get from the road and the further south they get and the further around that they're going, they start to get to terrain that hasn't been held by the enemy for very long.
Right.
So it starts to lighten up, and it's like there's a very clear shift. It's not like a sudden like thing. It's more of a gradual thing that is really nice.
Yeah, I like the way this chapter is put together.
Yeah.
So one of the first things I noticed reading this again is that there's a pale green light in Schmeagol's eyes. Mm-hmm. Green can be green with envy. For us these days, green eyes or seeing green things through eyes is like night vision goggles.
Okay.
I know that's not what he meant when he said this, but it kind of does now. You know, when you're seeing something all in green,
yeah,
it's through the night vision goggles. And I thought that was actually interesting since he seems to be able to have some night sight.
Yeah, he definitely has better night sight than the hobbits.
And or does it actually glow? Is it actually giving off a pale green light? Is it actually a source for light so he can see in the dark? I mean, all those are not answered.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't notice that. What I noticed is that Gollum wants to go fast. Sonic here wants to go 30 leagues in 4 days. And I looked that up because I could not for the life of me remember what a league is. And I was thinking nautical leagues. Apparently, a land league is just how much you can walk in an hour.
Actually, no. A land league is 3 miles. And the reasons it's 3 miles, if you are at sea level, the horizon is exactly 3.1 miles away from you.
Oh.
So walking horizon to horizon.
Well, what I was looking at was what it used to mean. So, like in fantasy novels, leagues tend to mean how much you can walk in an hour, which could probably be about 3 miles.
I'm mathing. Hold on.
Well, because I just did the math. And, well, I did the math assuming that, where a league takes an hour. And if that's the case, if everyone's walking like a league an hour, then Gollum wants to do 30 hours over 4 days. That's 7.5 hours of walking per day. And oof, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Let's pause so I can do this math. So for me, the league is 3 miles because, as I said, it's from here to horizon if you're on flat sea
ground.
level ground, or even flat ground if it's flat to flat.
Yeah.
Right, and so 30 leagues in 4 days, and each league being 3, it actually comes out to be, and I did the math. What happened?
Your phone turned off. It's okay.
That's not right though.
Oh.
It's about 2.4 miles an hour.
Okay.
Of walking. So you're close.
Well, I mean, I think about me, and like a regular walk takes me probably about 25 minutes. So a brisk walk would probably take me about 18 to 20 minutes to walk a mile. Not run a mile, but just walk a mile. And then we have, if that is like 3 miles, then that would come out to about 60 minutes for 3 miles.
Yeah.
So I think we're both like really close to that, where it's like, it's about 2.4 miles per hour that they're walking, and which is a good brisk walk. And then that would come out to about 7.5 to 8 hours of walking per day, which is still a lot.
Right, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I think we walked at least twice that when we were walking around Universal Studios.
Probably. And that one time in Boston?
Oh, the one that almost killed me?
Both of us. We chose to do the historical trail in Boston on the hottest day of the year.
In one day.
Would not recommend. It was great, but not again.
Yeah, just make sure you're ready before you climb up the Bunker Hill Monument. That's 400 and something steps that'll kill you.
Yeah, because it's also like, it's tall and steep. It's the steep, short steps that kill me.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was fine. But as an adult, I can't imagine doing it.
Right.
Back to our regularly scheduled podcast. Did I beat you to it? All right. So basically, they need to go about 8 leagues. And they do walk 8 leagues the previous night. And they are exhausted.
But while they're exhausted, though, their hearts are lightened a little bit because they're not...
Because they're in this new terrain that's only been held by the enemy for a shorter time, where there's some foliage, there's some pine trees, the air is fresh, and it's like a breath of fresh air is, I think, almost an exact quote.
Side of the Black Gate. Yeah.
And part of what's going into Sam's exhaustion is he's not trusting Gollum still. He's kind of amazed that Frodo either trusts Gollum or is so exhausted he just falls asleep without worrying about him. But Sam still, even though he's exhausted, is very much paranoid about Gollum. Like, it's paranoia.
Right.
Which it's founded paranoia, but it's paranoia.
But also what's interesting is that Samwise's Hobbit...
We're cooking. I learned how to cook before I could read. Hobbits do that. I'm in full Hobbit mode. Let's get my gear out. We're going to cook. If you mess up my cooking gear, I'm going to fillet you. Like, it's I loved it. I love that whole part.
And so I don't remember if this is actually in the book or not, but bay, parsley, and thyme would have been some of the herbs that he would have been able to find, and just growing wild.
Right. Yeah. And spices.
And while he's cooking and picking and everything like that, birds are singing.
Yeah, it's a nice time.
I mean,
except for Gollum. Gollum's like, why are you starting a fire? Why are you cooking this fine food? You just eat it. Why would you ruin it by boiling it? Which he has a point. Boiling food is not the greatest.
Yeah, but
back in Tolkien's day, that's all they really did boil stuff.
No, but that's also and put a stick through them
and twirl them
up, over.
Yeah, that's true. That is more like that.
And by boiling, you can
get some broth with that.
Well, and you can also go brain dead for an hour or two.
Yeah, that's true too.
While it comes to
and it won't
and
burn
cooks,
too much.
and it won't burn.
Sam's gonna keep cooking, and if Gollum doesn't like it, Gollum can go away from Sam and his fire and eat his rabbit by himself, so I don't have to look at that gross thing, and he doesn't have to look at my gross thing. Sam would like that, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
It was Sam, like, the sass, just the pure sass was so funny.
Right. But this land that they're going through, but there's still flowers, green grass beside pools.
And we find out a little bit more about Gondor later, but something else I wanted to point out because it's prevalent to my predictions. We get a certain line about taters.
What would that line be?
Potato. I was so sure. I was so sure it was just a movie thing. How does it go? It's like mash them up, pile them up, turn them in a stew. I guess that part was added for the movie. But I was so sure the entire thing was just cinematic. So I guess I was wrong.
But on top of that, the other nice thing is they've got clear water.
Yes, they're able to actually bathe and drink.
In the body.
Yes. And as Sam goes to clean his pots and pans, he turns around and he notices that he forgot to put the fire out. And there is just a perfect spiral of smoke coming up. And he immediately thinks, oh no, someone's going to see this. And just like perfect comedic timing, he starts to hear voices talking.
Right. Before Sam sends Gollum off to find something to eat, he tells Gollum, "This is your new motto: always ready to help." And it's it reminds me of the Coast Guard.
Okay.
Motto, which is Semper Paratus, which means always ready.
Okay.
And I just thought that was interesting. Termed it.
Okay.
Always ready to help.
Yeah. It's like, if we survive, you survive. If you survive, we survive, kind of thing.
And so it's a brace of rabbits or brace of conies.
Yeah.
Now,
I was going to ask what makes a coney specifically a coney. Is it just a wild rabbit, or is there like something specific about it?
Well, it's actually interchangeable with rabbits. Mm-hmm. It's kind of all interchangeable now. Oh,
there was something I did want to ask. Because you said that, I had another question that I totally skipped over real fast. It was back when they were still like eating and sleeping. Sam notices that Frodo's face seems to have changed.
I was getting ready to mention that too.
We skipped over that part.
Yeah, the light seems to be getting dimmer.
Getting thinner. He was getting more sharp features. And is this because of stress, or does it also have to do with being an elf friend?
Well, and it also mentions that it's, dimmer than before they got into Elrond's house. And remember, Frodo is sick dying.
So Sam's worried.
Yeah, so he looks worse.
Yeah.
So that, that's telling us something.
But that's why I was wondering again with those sharp features, where if that has to do with being an elf friend, because that made me immediately think of Aragon, where when he like goes like becomes a part of like the Elven village and goes through his like dragon rider training, he goes through a huge change where he becomes more elf-like. He has stronger features, pointy ears. Okay.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
It's like they look a little bit different because of being elf friends, so that's why I kind of thought about that.
Yeah, but that's not why.
Okay.
Being elf friends, you look more healthy, not more sickly.
Ah.
And when we're talking about sharpened features, that's because of loss of weight, where you can actually see the cheekbones now and stuff like that.
Okay. So my mind told, because I was thinking like hunger as well.
Taters, he mentions fried fish and chips.
Yeah. Good to know that's been around for a while now.
I know. It's like, so that really is
yeah,
a substance that everybody loves.
And it's so funny because Gollum's just like, you ruined fish. And Sam's like, when we're done with this, you're coming home. It's going to be the best thing you have ever had. It's just Sam in this chapter is just on point.
Yeah, well, that's because he's in familiar territory.
Yeah, it is more familiar.
He's cooking, he's a gardener, and the place looks great.
And we know that it's kind of springish, where because they're further south, it mentions that spring has come a little bit earlier than expected. I made it a word.
But as you said, then as they're getting to this certain point, Sam realizes that the fire is giving off smoke.
Yes.
And he panics.
Yeah.
And it's like, goodbye, reprieve. Now we got to be on guard again.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they're on guard again because 4 men show up.
Yeah. And I love, again, the comedic timing where Frodo and Sam are like, quick, into the bushes. And you hear the men, maybe they went into the bushes. It's like, guys,
They're gone.
Right.
I mean, are they underwater holding breath? I don't think so.
But I just found it really entertaining.
Okay.
And so the 4 men find them.
And one of those 4 men are
Faramir.
And I was going to spoiler that.
It's not a spoiler alert. If they're not reading along with us, then they deserve to be spoiled. I love you all. It's true, though.
You are so mean sometimes.
I am so against spoilers, but this is not a spoiler situation.
And there's 4 men that show up.
Including, spoiler alert, Faramir!
Who is?
Well, we find out a little later, he's Boromir's
brother!
Actually, did we actually find that out in this chapter, or did we just totally spoil that?
Yes, I think it says that in this chapter.
Okay, cool. I know they mention Boromir, and they're just like, Boromir? And
yeah.
But do they actually mention it's a brother? I totally missed that because I knew Boromir was his brother.
Oh, well. That's why he says spoiler alert.
Sorry, guys. Okay. But yeah, one of them's Boromir, and we find out that they're from Gondor, and they start to see more men kind of coming over the hill and out of trees and such. Right. And they're talking about the plight of Gondor and their neighbors and how they had like some sort of rapport with these other men tribes before they went either to or back to the enemy. And I like how they keep calling him the enemy instead of the Dark Lord.
Right.
A little bit. I kind of find that a little bit not so Harry Potter-ish.
Right. And but also the other thing is that the hobbits need to explain what hobbits are again.
Yeah, because they're just like, these guys don't look like elves or dwarves or men. And they're like, you're right, we're not any of them. And so they have to explain who they are and what they're doing. And they explain, it's like, look, we know Aragorn, we know Boromir, we are name dropping everyone we can think of. Aragorn they even like drop his title as like the wielder of the sword that was broken. Yeah. And they're all like, oh, you guys really know your stuff. It's like either you really, really learn your stuff or you're telling the truth.
Well, and then along this story, that's when they mention that they were with Boromir.
Yes.
And
I don't think they know his fate exactly They just say they were separated from him.
Right.
Yeah, because the hobbits
Well,
left.
at that point, they were. Sam and Frodo didn't have any idea
Exactly,
about
yeah,
what
they
kind
left-
of fighting was going on.
Exactly.
behind
They
them.
left before the fight even started. So they knew that something was kind of happening, but they have no idea what the extent of like what just happened.
And this party of men from Gondor are what we would call rangers.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the rangers had come all this way from Gondor to ambush the men of Harren.
Yes.
And we get a little bit of an info dump here, which is nice. And it's nice because we get an info dump to catch us up with some
Right.
things. But also, it's a small info dump that...
Yeah, it's a small, interesting info dump versus like just something really long and boring. It wasn't that. It was a good info dump.
Right. And one of the things Boromir says is, we will not sit idle. Which reminds me of... so he says, Boromir says, we will not sit idle, which reminds me that evil takes after when good men do nothing.
There's also that quote, idle hands are devil's handiwork.
Right. And then they see more men. And then they hear horn sounds. And then they hear fighting.
And there's a battle, and Sam is very wary about it.
Yes. Mary is very worried about it and wants to get him and Frodo out of the way. And it's men versus men. Now, when you think about it here, in Middle Earth, maybe.
I'm just thinking back to The Hobbit,
Well,
where they mention something about like ancient dwarven wars or something. But we'll come back to that in The Hobbit, because I can't remember off the top of my head if I'm just like if
Hey.
it's a Mandela effect or not.
if we're wrong, send us a message and tell us we're wrong.
If we're right, tell us we're right, so we get an ego boost.
Yay!
So I do see that we highlighted the same thing in our books.
And there's also this idea is that being on the right side is not entirely being good.
Yeah.
I did air quotes, good, because in Tolkien's world, good would not be trying to kill your fellow man.
Right.
But then, surprise, surprise, Sam gets to see an Oliphant.
Yes, and I highlighted that in my book as well. We both highlighted the same part of our books where he's not that happy with the fight. He's very wary of it. But then he takes a deep breath. He's like, an Oliphant it was. And he was like so excited. He's like, I have seen one. What a life.
Now, what a life. I've seen one, and no one at home will ever believe me. Well, if that's over, I needs to sleep.
Yeah.
He's hearing a battle, and he sees and hears elephants, and it's like a dream of his life. And now I need to get some sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Hobbits.
Love them.
Hobbits can sleep
Anywhere. We're hobbits. We're such hobbits.
Yeah, and one of the men with them says, sleep while you may, but the captain will return if he's unhurt. And when he comes, we shall depart swiftly. We shall be pursued as soon as news of our deed reaches the enemy. And that will not be long. Sounds like, go quietly if you must. No need to disturb my sleep. Just go.
I was walking all night.
Yeah, I was walking all night.
So I was like, I don't care, man. I don't care. It's like me at like 10 p.m. where I'm just like struggling to stay awake and everyone's just like, but the movie, the best part. I'm like, I don't care.
Yep. And then the last words of the chapter, I do not think the captain will leave you here, Master Samwise, but you shall see.
Yes, definitely kind of a cliffhanger. It's not a huge cliffhanger, but it's kind of a cliffhanger.
Yep. And that's the end of this chapter. I mean, it's a short chapter. There's not a whole lot of information to
to kind of digest.
Yeah, but
It's more plot driven than information driven.
well, it's character driven. We get more.
True, that too.
We find out more about Sam.
Yeah, we get definitely a bigger taste of his personality.
And the whole sarcasm thing of calling him Sam, like calling himself Schmeagle, and like Sam doesn't think this and Sam doesn't think that and Sam wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
That's some lighthearted stuff for us.
Yes, for sure.
So anything else we need to cover on this one?
I think that might be it.
All right. So prediction time.
Well, what's the chapter title?
The Window on the West.
The Window on the West. Okay, I'm going to make a long-standing prediction. I know, these always kill me, but I'm making a long-standing prediction.
I want to make sure they heard the sigh.
Gotcha. I do not think they will actually go into Gondor. The Hobbits specifically.
Okay. You mean ever or just in this?
In before the end of the ring thing. Before they take care of the ring.
Okay.
Yeah, in general. I don't think they'll actually go into Gondor. Though I will say a chapter-specific prediction on top of that, I'll count it all as one prediction. Boromir will insist that they go, and they don't.
Okay.
My next prediction is... This is going to be a bold one, and I have nothing to substantiate it.
Ooh, a bold prediction. With no leg to stand on.
There's no leg to stand on. I know nothing about Boromir except he's Boromir's brother. That's the only thing I know. And his dad's kind of a jerk, apparently, but I don't know that for a fact.
How are you saying his name?
Boromir?
It's an A. Faramir.
Faramir? Okay. Faramir. I just thought it was Boromir with an F. Faramir. You can't see it, but he is looking towards the heavens in despair at me.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Faramir, I'm going to predict, will not be as tempted as his brother was for the ring. I think he might get tempted, but not nearly to the point that Boromir was.
Okie dokie.
And then I need a third. You can't see it, but I just put my hands on my hips trying to think. My power pose.
Do you need to sing your thinking song?
I don't have a thinking song.
Think. From Blue's Clues.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Speaking of Blue's Clues.
Okay, well, I think go on your tangent.
Yeah, so speaking of Blue's Clues, I hope you had a chance to see, what's his name? Steve. I wanted to say Bob, but I knew that was wrong. It's Bob the Builder. Steve, did y'all see the thing where Steve came back and, hey, I haven't seen you guys in a while.
It was... to my millennial heart, it was perfect. It was perfect for us millennials.
Well, and also us parents of millennials, because we sat there with you too.
Watching it, yeah.
I mean...
I was obsessed, guys. You don't understand.
And there's even a meme out there. You probably know the meme of Brad Pitt pointing at the TV.
Yeah.
So they used that image and said, that's me when I find one of the clues. So, okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm still blanking on a third prediction.
She's blinking. She's blinking.
Since I made a long-term prediction, can I...
No.
Dang it. Window on the West. I mean, I'm tempted to say there's no actual window. It's a metaphor, but I know I can't get away with that. Unless you want to be really nice to me.
Nope.
Okay. Window on the West.
That's just being lazy.
Ooh. Okay, so Gollum pretty much disappeared once the men were here. And he slipped away like a sly fox is what they say. And so I'm going to make the prediction that Gollum is not going to reappear until Sam and Frodo separate from the men. Is that a good one?
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it's the hobbits will not enter Gondor before the whole ring thing is taken care of. And that, what was the other part of that? Oh, and Faramir will insist. I'm writing these down, guys. I'm actually doing it. And Fairmeal will
But
insist.
she's not writing in her notebook. She's writing on the back of a piece of paper she's
I
already
will
written on.
transfer it. Maybe.
I got a secret. She'll lose it.
Probably. The second one is that, oh my God, I already forgot. What was the second one?
I'm not listening to you.
Oh, well, the third one was that Gollum won't appear. Oh, yeah, so Gollum won't appear, and then the second one was Faramir will not be as tempted by the ring.
Okay.
Okay, I wrote them down. I'm going to try my best not to lose them. This is progress. This is growth.
This is progress.
This is character development.
Correctamundo. Right, so we're really getting along here, and I'm not really spoiling anything, but we needed that reprieve.
We did. It was getting like really dark and ominous.
Yep.
Even though there were a couple like fun little jokes in between, it was still like really dark and ominous. So this felt like a refreshing breath for us as readers as well.
But you know I'm disappointed with the chapter.
Why?
No singing. No poems.
I'm surprised. Well, there was whistling. Sam was whistling while cleaning.
Well, yeah, that's true enough.
So there was something musical.
I mean, the closest thing we have to a poem is when they remind the men who are there of the thing about the broken sword.
Yeah. It's like, we're the ones in the rhyme.
Yeah.
It's like, it's us, guys. We're the prophecy. Nice to meet you. Can you imagine, like, this crazy ancient prophecy, and then suddenly these two little hobbits show up and it's like, hello, it is I.
but I also like, we're rehashing. I also like, Frodo saying, and we are the halflings that the rhyme spoke of. Faramir's like, okay. I see that might be so, and what's Isildur's bane? Frodo's like, that's hidden. We don't know. Doubtlessly, it will be made clear in some time. But yeah, so we even have Frodo, kind of almost Frodo.
Yeah, where Frodo's like, ha ha ha, not here. I don't know what you're talking about. What? It kind of came off, to me, it came off as like, there is no man behind the curtain, kind of. So, but yeah, I don't know why, but that part made me laugh so much just imagining it. Because like I'm rereading Percy Jackson right now and listening to the newest Olympian. Shout out to Mike Schubert. Love you. Come on the podcast. And it's all about prophecies there. So I'm just imagining like just a prophecy happening and someone showing up is like, you met me. Congratulations.
Okay.
So
I've been Robert.
And I've been Evelyn.
And you've been listening to Talking About It.
See you next time.
Yay.